After launching hundreds of airstrikes on Syrian military assets and seizing positions including the summit of a mountain with an uninterrupted sightline to the capital Damascus, Israel appears to be taking advantage of what it sees as a unique moment of opportunity. Syrian command structures were in disarray, with key positions apparently left unmanned after the fall of the Assad regime. The Israel Defense Forces (IDF) says its Air Force and Navy have conducted more than 350 strikes since Saturday night, taking out an estimated 70 to 80% of Syrian strategic military assets from Damascus to Latakia. They included fighter aircraft, radar and air defense sites, and naval ships, as well as weapons stockpiles, the IDF said. Former Israeli Air Force officers commented in online posts that some of the attacks carried out as part of this operation were based on plans drawn years ago. One military analyst said that some targets were already identified by Israel in the mid-1970s. Meanwhile, troops have taken control of positions in the Golan, including the top of Mount Hermon, according to Israeli media. In Arabic, the mountain is known as Jabal al-Sheikh. The territory guarantees strategic control over the whole southern Syrian arena, which generates an immediate threat to Israel. The Ynet news website quoted Kobi Michael, a researcher at Israel's Institute for National Security Studies, INSS, as saying, "There is no higher vantage point than the Syrian part of the Golan." Follow live coverage. What is the Golan Heights? Officials stress that Israel has been acting in its own national security interests following the collapse of the Assad regime. They say the aim is to stop weapons that the regime held falling into the wrong hands, whether Syrian extremist factions or its old foe, the Lebanese armed group Hezbollah. Hezbollah and its backer, Iran, were close allies of Assad, helping him to prop him up in office during the long civil war in Syria. "We will not allow an extreme Islamic terrorist entity to act against Israel beyond its border, putting its citizens at risk," Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a video message on Tuesday. Syria and Israel fought against each other in the Middle East wars of 1948, 1967 and 1973 and formally regard each other as enemy states under Bashar al-Assad. Syria was a significant regional military power. Israel had attacked it in recent years in hundreds of strikes that were rarely openly acknowledged. Israel's calculation included a sphere of deniability for itself but also for Assad so he would not feel forced to respond. These had focused on preventing transfer of weapons to Hezbollah, as the main transport route was overland from Syria to Lebanon, arms manufacturing, and Syrian air defense systems, which posed a threat to Israeli warplanes sent on missions. Israel avoided major attacks that could have led to wider war and sought to avoid conflict with Russia, after it became Assad's biggest supporter in recent years. Some defense analysts suggest that Israel wanted to avoid weakening the Syrian regime for fear of triggering the chaos that could follow if its opponent seized power. Over the years, Israel and Syria, under its secular, Ba'athist regime, stuck to well-defined red lines. It was a known adversary, but the speedy advance of the Islamist group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, prompted a hastily developed new Israeli strategy.